Hello students, let's start our class. Today we are going to discuss a new chapter from your history. Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. In the previous chapter, you read about the powerful ideas of freedom and equality that circulated in Europe after the French Revolution. The French Revolution opened up the possibility of creating a dramatic change in the way in which society was structured. So you know already that before the 18th century, society was broadly divided into estates and orders, and it was the aristocracy and serfs which controlled economic and social power. Suddenly, after the revolution, it seemed possible to change this. In many parts of the world, including Europe and Asia, new ideas about individual rights and who controls social power began to be discussed. In India, Raja Rammohan Roy and D'Orazio talk of the significance of the French Revolution, and many others debated the ideas of post-revolutionary Europe. The developments in the colonies in turn reshaped these ideas of societal sense. Responses varied from those who accepted that some change was necessary but wished for a gradual shift, to those who wanted to restructure society radically. Some were conservatives, others were liberals or radicals. Through the revolution in Russia, socialism became one of the most significant and powerful ideas to shape society in the 20th century. Dear students, now we are going to discuss about liberals, radicals, and conservatives. Who were liberals? One of the groups which looked to change society were liberals. Liberals wanted a nation which tolerated all religions. Liberals also opposed the uncontrolled power of dynastic rules. They also wanted to safeguard the rights of individuals against governments. They argued for a representative elected parliamentary government subject to laws interpreted by a well-trained judiciary that was independent of rulers and officials. However, they were not Democrats. They did not believe in universal adult franchise, that is, the right of every citizen to vote. They felt men of property mainly should have the vote. They also did not want the vote for women. Radicals. Who were radicals? Radicals wanted a nation in which government was based on the majority of a country's population. Many supported women's suffragette movements. Unlike liberals, they opposed the privileges of great landowners and wealthy factories owners. But they were not against the existence of private property, but disliked concentration of property in the hands of a few. Conservatives. Who were conservatives? Conservatives were opposed to radicals and liberals. After the French Revolution, however, even conservatives had opened their minds to the need for change. Earlier in the 18th century, conservatives have been generally opposed to the idea of sense. By the 19th century, they accepted that some sense was inevitable, but believed that the past had to be respected and sense had to be brought about through a slow process. So, dear students, such differing ideas about societal sense clashed during the social and political turmoil that followed the French Revolution. The various attempts at revolution and national transformation in the 19th century helped define both the limits and potential of these political tendencies. Dear students, now we are going to discuss about industrial society and social sense. So we have already discussed regarding the three important political groups: liberals, radicals and conservatives. These political trends were a sign of a new time. It was a time of profound and social and economic changes. It was a time when new cities came up and new industrialized regions developed, railways expanded, and industrial revolution occurred. Industrialization brought men and women and children to factories. Work hours were often long and wages were poor. Unemployment was common, particularly during times of low demand for industrial goods. Housing and sanitation were problems since towns were growing rapidly. Almost all industries were the property of individuals. Liberals and radicals themselves were often property owners and employers. Having made their wealth through trade or industrial ventures, they felt that such effort should be encouraged, that its benefits would be achieved if the workforce in the economy was healthy and citizens were educated. Opposed to the privilege the old aristocracy had by birth, they firmly believed in the value of individual efforts, labor and enterprises. If freedom of individual was ensured, if the poor could labor and those with capital could operate without restraint, they believed that society would develop. Many working men and women who wanted sense in the world rallied around liberal and radical groups and parties in the early 19th century. And some nationalists, liberals and radicals wanted revolutions to put an end to the kind of government established in Europe in 1815. For example, in France, Italy, Germany and Russia, they become revolutionary and work to overthrow existing monarchs. Nationalists now talk of the revolutions that would create nations where all citizens would have equal rights. After 1815, Mazzini, an Italian nationalist, conspired with others to achieve this in Italy. So nationalists elsewhere, including India, read his writings. So dear students, at last we have to remember some of the important points that we have already discussed. Number one, the age of social science. Then three important political groups: liberals, radical, conservatives. Liberals wanted a nation which tolerated all religions. Radicals wanted a nation in which government was based on the majority of a country's population, and conservatives were opposed to radical and liberals. And at last, industrial society and social sense. So it was a time of profound social and economic changes. Thank you. Have a good day ahead.